How are you? Very well, thanks.
Morning, Steve.
Morning all, thank you for all coming down. Claire, would you like to start us off?
First of all, Dylan Hartley's injury, how bad is it? When might you have him available, and was it not worth him coming along to Portugal, which is kind of done in the past when he's been with?
Yeah, we've taken a completely different approach to the camp this time. We're specifically focusing on the Ireland game. So we're only taking players who we believe will be available to play against Ireland. So we're not taking any longer term rehab players. So Dylan is not going to be available for Ireland. At the outside, maybe Wales we're looking at. So we've had a good discussion on that. Same with Rob Shaw, we haven't taken him to Portugal for the same reasons, that will allow him to rehab, get himself right, and then hopefully be available for selection further down the track.
So is it Wales for him as well, Rob Shaw?
No, he could be a bit earlier. France could be a bit earlier, yeah.
And no Danny Kerr, you've gone with Dan Robson instead. Can you talk us through that decision?
It's a tough decision. You know, the great thing for us for this squad is that, we've got, if you look at the players unavailable, it's the smallest list we've had since 2016. So we've got all these good players coming back. We've got great competition for places. We're in a reasonably positive state. Danny's been playing well for his club, but we've always wanted to have a look at Robson. We want that fast halfback at the end of the game that can shift the ball quickly, make breaks when the defences are sometimes fatigued at the end of the game. And we wanted to have a look at Dan in November, but unfortunately he got injured. So now is his opportunity. And one of the reasons we're only taking two halfbacks is we want those guys to have a lot of training time because of the way we play the game. We need them to train a lot to get them back into the England way of playing the game.
Who's number 3 scrum half on your list then?
We've got a variety of options there, which is the great thing. And if we need a third halfback, we've got a couple of guys there that are sitting there. There's a couple of good young players playing in the Premiership that could shoot up as well. There's a young guy at Bristol who we've been very impressed with. So he's going to be competing for a spot. We've obviously got Richard Wigglesworth, who's a great competitor, and we can call on him at any stage when we need him. Danny Kerr's still in the mix. Certainly the door's not closed on him. So there's some good options there for us.
Will you take 2 or 3 for the World Cup?
We'll worry about that when the World Cup selection. I think we're doing Ireland selection now.
Okay. Dan Carl's back in.
He's...
What have you seen in him in the last few months that you weren't seeing pre-autumn?
Well, he's always been a strong scrummager and continues to be that, but we've asked him to work a little bit on his defensive game and attacking game, and he's done that. He's moved in the right direction, and we want to make sure we've got good competition in that tight head spot. Sinks and Harry Williams did exceptionally well for us in November, but Dan Cole will come into the squad, put pressure on them because he's an outstanding scrummager. So it's a good opportunity for him to show that he can be the number 1 tight head prop in England.
Who's the really unlucky ones, Eddie? Who were the ones that you were deliberating about to the last minute?
I think there's a number of players in that category. If you just start from the top, you've got guys like Alex Hepburn, who played well for us in November. Unfortunately, with Mako and Ellis Genge coming back, he can't get into the squad. Second row, you've got guys like Charlie Ewells, Nick Ezekwe, Elliot Stuke. Again, all good players with potential to be good players for us, but at the moment we can't fit all of them in. So we could keep going down, but it might get quite tedious. And there's a lot of good players out there that are disappointed.
Andrew, considering the unusual and welcome lack of injuries in the league, do you think this is the strongest squad you've been able to pick for a Six Nations match?
Well, at the moment, yes. We've still got one game on the weekend to go, or a number of games on the weekend to go. But I think we're in a really good position. We're excited about the opportunity ahead of us. Obviously, it's a World Cup year, so that's always at the back of your mind. But clearly, our focus is on beating Ireland. It's the first game of the tournament. It's It's the most prestigious tournament in the Northern Hemisphere, so we want to make sure that we put our best foot forward, and I think the squad we've got is a very strong squad and very capable of beating Ireland.
Would you expect this squad to beat Ireland?
Well, I don't expect, I prepare them to beat Ireland.
But it's capable.
Well, that's the objective, yes,
And it is,
definitely.
to be clear, where Ireland stand in your mind, Eddie, going to Dublin, for any team, in fact, is it genuinely the biggest test you have in rugby union at the moment?
Well, it's our next test, so it's the biggest one. Yeah, they're a good team. They deserve all the praise they've been getting. They're well coached, well drilled. They've got a number of exceptional players in their side, and they've got a very methodical game plan, which maximises the strengths of their team.
Just one more from me. There are obviously some uncapped players, and one thing about being coach of England is that you've got so many clubs always producing players who always will make a case for being included. In some ways, Eddie, are you still experimenting in your mind about what your best combination of players are?
Not at all.
No.
We're very clear who our best players are, but we want competition in the squad. We want blokes desperate to play for England, and to do that we need competition. So in some cases we've deliberately created competition to ensure that we get the best out of the players. Because to be the best team in the world, which we need to beat Ireland, we need players at their absolute best. We need them chomping at the bit. And to be chomping at the bit, you need to be hungry. And to be hungry, you need competition.
So you don't want anybody feeling that their place is certain, guaranteed?
100%.
Eddie, in terms of the captaincy, obviously it's had co-captains before. Was there a thought of doing that this time, or do you trust having Aaron as the sole captain?
Well, we're happy with Aaron as captain, and we're expecting Dylan to come back.
Eddie, going back to Joe's point, does that mean that in your mind, all things being equal, you know what your best 15 is today, or are you still kind of working down?
No, got a pretty good idea, mate. Very good idea, yeah.
And you talk about in this, about playing the England way. What is the England way?
Well, I think English rugby, like English sports, always been based on a strong tradition of being organised. And the organised parts of the game in rugby particularly are set piece and defence. And that's what we're good at. And we want to play to those, and then we want to be able to develop the ability to, when we create opportunities, to score points.
And in terms of developing the game that you're trying to play during the Six Nations, are there kind of key areas that you want to see on an upward curve over the next few months?
Well, the game's about contest at the moment. The game goes in a cycle from contest to continuity, and the cycle's very clearly at contest at the moment. So it's the contest areas of the game. It's the scrum, it's the line out, it's the kick-off, it's the breakdown. And we've made some, I think since the last Six Nations, some substantial improvements, particularly in our breakdown work, and we expect that to continue during the Six Nations.
Do you still believe that the way the players at the clubs play at the breakdown in the Premiership, as an example, is different to what they'll get in the Six Nations?
100%. But that's evident in any domestic competition. Super Rugby is different from Test Rugby. Top 14 is different from Test Rugby. The European competition is different from the domestic competitions. Then within Europe, you get different interpretations. Like I saw some games on the weekend where one referee, I don't know what he was taking, but there was a different interpretation of the tackle than I've seen ever before. So you've got to be able to adapt to that, but the consistency of it at international level is that there's strong contest, and you've got to be good in that contest area.
And is that a challenge, thinking of Portugal, to get the players up that extra level, ready for an opening Six Nations game in Dublin?
Not at all. We've got great players.
Eddie, you were saying you're changing the way in terms of rehabbing players like Dylan. Is that because you have an eye on the World Cup in terms of not bringing players back too quickly?
No, because we specifically want to beat Ireland. So we're using this. The squad we've got here is just a squad to play against Ireland. It's not a Six Nations squad. It's a squad to play against Ireland.
Anything else? Mitch?
Eddie, can you just get a quick word on Mike Brown? What's changing your mind to bring him back into the
Well, unless I'm getting old, which I am, I think he's always been in the squad, hasn't he? So what's changed? Is there something I'm missing here, guys?
No, probably something I'm missing.
All right. You must be getting old. Too much cycling, mate.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you. We'll move downstairs for writer's reading. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks.
No, I think it's...
Oh, okay.